Hey Astro Lover, welcome back to I Talk to Planets. Claire Gallagher here, your favorite planet channeler and cosmic business lover. Today we are continuing our robust series all about building a planet-powered business. Last time we talked about the first phase of the process, which is to clarify, and that means to clarify what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, all of that important information. We're going to continue that conversation today and dig a little deeper into the problem that you solve and the result that you offer your client. Before we dive into all the goodies, I want to make sure that the podcast listeners know that you can also watch the podcast now on YouTube. Yep, I have launched a YouTube channel. My handle is I Talk to Planets, of course, and I would love it if you subscribed and followed along on YouTube as well. There's also other videos up there. It's not just the podcast. I'm doing the whole YouTube thing, so give me a like and subscribe. Okay, so let's recap. What are the phases of building a planet-powered business? There are 3 phases, and again, I went into them in detail last time, but they are to clarify, to codify, and to amplify. Most people skip straight to amplify, which is marketing and growth and hiring and getting the space and all of that fun stuff. But we can't really amplify anything with clarity until we've done the first couple of phases, or you'll just amplify a big mess, which is okay. We can always clean up a mess, but it can take a little bit of time and a lot of elbow grease. So today we're taking the first phase, clarify, a little bit deeper. Last time we talked about why and how you do what you do using the sun or sect light. So if you were born at night, that means the moon. We also unpacked the midheaven as well as the planet that rules your midheaven. So if you want that, check out last episode. Today, we're going to talk about the problem that you solve and the result that you offer your clientele. This is really important because if you're not clear on the problem or the result, it's going to be really hard to sell your service. You can say, I read tarot, I read astrology, I do graphic design all day long, but if people can't identify that you're going to help them with a pain point or help them achieve a desire, they're not really going to connect the dots that you are the service provider for them. And yes, there are places in your astrology chart that you can unpack to discover the problems that you are uniquely qualified to solve and the results that you are uniquely qualified to give. So what planets are going to tell you about this problem and this result? Planets that are really happy in your chart and planets that are really sad in your chart. So let me explain. We call this planetary condition in astrology, and it's a really complex set of factors where you analyze a planet top to bottom and basically give it a grade. Is it an A+? Is it a failing grade? Or anything in between? It's usually something in between. But we want to identify these planetary outliers. Planets that are really strong typically represent talents that you have and gifts that you bring to your clients. And planets that are really weak, they can, represent parts of life that are very challenging for us, but they often, as adults, represent transformations that we've personally gone through that we are able to usher other people through as well. So planetary condition is how we determine the planetary outliers, which planets in your chart are really strong and which planets are really weak. And again, this is a mashup of a lot of different things, including sect, house condition, zodiac sign placement, speed of travel, direction, like is the planet going direct or is it retrograde? Is it visible or invisible? And what aspects is it receiving or making? Now, I'm not going to go into super detail with planetary condition today because that would be honestly a professional astrology course, but I am going to give you some examples to help some of these concepts land. If this information kind of makes your eyes water or roll into the back of your head, that's totally normal. I'm going to do my best to break it down, but just know that this is really complicated stuff, and it's why professional astrologers exist. So, what would define a really strong or happy planet or a planet in good condition? Ideally, it would be a planet in the sign of its domicile or rulership, or in the sign of its exaltation. So this is a zodiac sign placement that the planet feels really comfortable in. It's like being at its own home and having all its creature comforts around it. It has authority in this space and power in this space. So for example, Mars in Aries is a planet in a really strong zodiac sign because Mars rules or owns or manages the sign of Aries. Another place that you can look to determine if a planet is really strong is if it's in a favorable house, specifically an angular house. So the chart is divided into 4 angles: the ascendant, the descendant, the IC, and the MC, and these roughly correlate with the angular houses 1, 4, 7, and 10. If a planet is in an angular house, it is considered to be in a really strong position where it can turn the wheel of the chart or turn the wheel of the life. It has agency and really good footing to do good work for you. We also want a planet to be moving direct, so not retrograde. We want it to be moving fast, and we want it to be visible, so it's not too close to the sun to where it can't be seen. And in a perfect world, that planet would also receive a trine from a benefic planet, so that would be like a trine from Venus or Jupiter. So an example of this would be Venus in Libra in, let's say, the 5th house. That's not angular, but it's a really happy house for Venus. Venus is fast, direct, visible, and it's, let's say, receiving a trine from Jupiter in Aquarius. This is as good as it gets. Now, what about the flip side? A planet in poor condition is going to have all the opposite things true. So it's going to be in the zodiac sign of its detriment or fall. This is the zodiac sign opposite of its domicile or exaltation. So an example of this would be the moon in Scorpio or Saturn in Aries. A planet is in poor condition also if it's in an unfortunate house. And, there's arguments around which houses are truly unfortunate, but the ones that typically receive the check mark from everybody are 2, 6, 8, and 12. A planet is also considered to be in poor condition if it is retrograde, if it's invisible, so it's under the beams of the sun, and if it receives a square from Saturn or Mars. So an example of this would be Venus in Aries, which is the sign of its detriment, in, let's say, the 12th house. It's retrograde, it's combust, so it's under the sun's beams, and it's receiving a square from Saturn. That wouldn't be a very happy Venus, and it definitely would be telling a story of a challenge that you have overcome in your life. Now, most of us are not going to check all these boxes. Most planets in your chart might check a couple, but that's it. Most of us are going to have neutral planets that kind of receive a B or a C if you want to give them a grade. There's not always going to be these outlier planets. For example, the best I can do is say that my strongest planet is the sun in the 10th house. It's the only angular planet I have. It's not in any special zodiac sign. It's not receiving any special trine, but it is angular, so that's what I take. So most of you are going to have planets in mixed condition, but see what you can do to identify the one that feels the strongest out of all and the weakest out of all. And again, the strong planet is going to represent talents that are easy for you to bring to your work. So these are gifts that you offer your clients and results that you offer. Whereas the weaker planets might represent problems that you solve and transformations that you can walk other people through because you have been through them as well. Let's do a few examples. How about Venus in Pisces in the 6th house? It's direct, it's fast, it's visible, and it's receiving a sextile from Jupiter. So we already know if we wanted to list these factors out, some of them are beneficial and some of them are not. This planet honestly is in mixed condition, but when I looked at the entire chart, it's one of the strongest planets. Why? Because Venus is exalted in Pisces and it's direct, it's fast, it's visible, and it's receiving a sextile from Jupiter. The only thing that's not working for it in a great way is being placed in the 6th house, but that's not the end of the world. So there's check marks in a lot of boxes, and just one doesn't meet the criteria, and that's okay. It's still the strongest planet. So this is going to describe a gift that this person shares with their client, a talent that they bring, a result that they offer. Now, interpreting this is going to really depend on the type of work that this person does, but we could say as a general statement that any Venusian things would come really easily to this person. So that could be art, it could be music, it could be design, it could be style, and it could be relational stuff like connection, collaboration, or compassion. These are all Venus things, specifically Venus in an exalted position things. Now, how this Venus gift comes through is really going to depend on the what that this person does. But let's pretend this person is in web design. Well, obviously, Venus exalted in the 6th house is going to help people elevate their visual brand, and that makes perfect sense with the 6th house. You know, a planet in exaltation takes something in a low place and brings it to a high place, and the 6th house is the workplace, and so it kind of is very descriptive in this case. Let's try another example. What about Mars in Scorpio? In the 2nd house, it's direct, it's slow, and it's visible. So again, this is a mixed condition planet. There are some things that are working well for it and some things that are not working super well for it. But overall, Mars in Scorpio, direct and visible, that's a really effective Mars. And so again, this is probably going to fall on the side of describing a talent or gift or result that a person shares with their client. So just like Venus, anything that Mars is good at, this person is probably going to be naturally gifted in, and it's going to be easily woven into the business. So Mars in Scorpio is really gifted in strategy. It is also a very focused planet. It can be very intense, but it knows what to do and it gets down to business. It goes deep instead of wide, and it has this specialist energy about it. It is not a generalist. Let's pretend this person is a coach and they are offering Mars and Scorpio gifts. What is that going to look like? Well, it's right off the bat going to tell me that this person is not I'm a general life coach. And if they try to market themselves that way, it's going to fall flat. Mars and Scorpio people need to offer something very specific, strategic, and intense. They go very deep with their clients very quickly, and they offer a very targeted transformation. So this is not going to be general coaching packages. This is going to be an intense experience that offers a very specific result. So knowing that you have Mars and Scorpio as one of your stronger talents or gifts to offer can help you not only design your services, but position them correctly. All right, let's try a few more. How about the moon in Scorpio in the 2nd house, visible and co-present with both malefics, receives a trine from Venus? Or we could just say moon in Scorpio and forget about all the other stuff. So the moon in Scorpio is in kind of a compromised position. Scorpio is the sign of the moon's fall, so it's slightly uncomfortable here. Again, when a planet is in fall, it's considered to be like it's literally fallen down. So it was in a high place or a neutral place, and now it's in a low place. This typically will represent a problem to solve, assuming that you have addressed the transformation yourself and gotten the assistance that you need to go through that change. So when a planet is in fall, it's lost some popularity, it's lost some status, it's a little insecure and wobbly on its feet. When the moon is in fall, what we're going to be feeling insecure about are moon things like our emotions or our nutrition or our sleep or our family connections. You know, those are the things that the moon typically represents. Let's pick a very specific example to just try to nail this down. Let's pretend this person is a health coach and they have gone through their own very intense health transformation. That is pretty descriptive when it comes to the moon in fall. So the moon can represent the body, our natural rhythms, our health, and when it's in a compromised position, it can describe a health story that someone has to go through. And maybe they've been inspired by their own healing journey to help other people. A more general example could be Any service provider or industry that offers a product or service that brings someone from an insecure place to a confident place. If we think about the moon in fall as being on wobbly ground, not having great footing, then the transformation here, or the call here, is to bring that moon through a process that creates solidity for it, confidence for it, and more sure footing. And again, this could be a transformation that is bridged by a lot of different industries. It's just a story from insecure to confident. Let's find a few more problematic examples that describe transformations. How about Mars in Taurus in the 12th house? Mars in Taurus is another tricky-ish placement. This is the sign of Mars's detriment. So it is opposite Scorpio, opposite the place where Mars is strongest. And so this is where Mars feels awkward and sluggish and weak and just not quite itself. It's also in the 12th house, which makes Mars a little bit more ineffective. So this is going to describe a problem to solve. And again, the disclaimer here is always as long as you have gone through this transformation yourself. Mars in Taurus describes a very common problem when you're working with clients, and that is the problem of getting stuck. The problem of not moving forward, of hiding, and of being inconsistent with your effort or action. I like to think of Mars in Taurus as kind of like a car that's stuck in the mud and it can't get out. So it's spinning its wheels and mud is splattering all over the place, but the car's not going anywhere. However, a lot of energy is being used. That is really descriptive of Mars in Taurus. It's very stubborn and it's going to do it this way. But it's not quite the right way, and it's efforting so much and not moving an inch. So if you have Mars and Taurus in the 12th house and you've learned how to manage your energy more effectively, that is a really potent transformation that you can bring a client through. Let's do one more example. How about an aspect that's really problematic? We haven't talked about this yet. Let's pretend we have Mars square Saturn. That is a classically difficult aspect. This is going to describe a problem to solve, a transformation that you offer. Now, Mars and Saturn in square represents kind of a stalemate where there is momentum that's being blocked. If Mars is action and Saturn is a concrete wall, it's like, no, okay? Saturn says no, and Mars gets really frustrated. So this aspect can feel like there's a lot of pent-up energy, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of desire to move forward, but something is holding this person back. Pretty similar to Mars and Taurus. People with Mars square Saturn have maybe a lot of energy and drive, but there's also really heavy self-sabotage and this pattern of moving forward and then 10 steps back, 2 steps forward, 10 steps back sort of thing. So what Mars and Saturn in square often require is breakthrough energy. And the flip side of Mars and Saturn in square, when this person knows how to manage their energy appropriately and effectively, they can get a lot done. They can be very efficient individuals, very hardworking people. So this person might offer some type of service or product that helps people take steps forward, that helps people move through self-sabotage, move through self-doubt and fear, and figure out how to channel their energy in a more effective way. All right, Astro Lover, I hope that was helpful. As a recap, we talked a little bit about planetary condition and how there's a checklist of factors that help you analyze whether a planet is strong or weak. And those outliers, the strongest planet and the weakest planet in your chart, are both important when it comes to determining what it is that you offer your clients. Okay, now it is your turn to find the strongest planet in your chart and the weakest planet in your chart and translate them into a gift that you have to share or a problem that you are here to solve with your business. Thank you so much for listening and for watching, and I'll talk to you next week.